So, you prayed for a provider, but no one warned you what it would require of your nervous system, your emotional intelligence, your EQ, and your inner healing work. They told you he would, the choosing a provider kind of a man, he will protect you, he will provide for you, he will build a solid future and a family with you, take care of the children, their education. And he does, 100%, he does. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes having a man who handles everything can still leave you feeling emotionally starved in moments of the relationship. Might make you feel mentally abandoned or soulfully alone, even. Okay. Like I mentioned, not all the time, sometimes. So let me tell you about someone I know, her story, right? So she did the great work, as I call it in my channel, the inner work, the healing work, right? She waited for her husbandry coded king. She was very clear that she wanted a husbandry coded man, the archetype. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, go through my list and look into the 4 energetic archetypical hierarchy of masculine energies, and you'll understand. After watching this video, go and watch it, so you'll understand what I'm talking about. So she waited for her husbandry coded man. All right, she did the great work, as I said. She aligned her energies. She even manifested her man who provided for her, right, who protected her and adored her in his own way, in his own love language. He paid all the bills pretty much in her marriage, right? He handled all the logistics, taking care of all the heavy lifting stuff around the house and in the relationship, right? He brought clarity, direction, understanding into the directionality of the marriage, where it's going, children, school, fees, of course, all that with her preferences. Right? So he took charge of all the big, difficult decisions in the marriage pretty much. And yet, sometimes she felt lonelier than ever. Not because he was like a cold man or he was cold towards her. No. Not because he did not love her, adore her, or cherish her. No. But because his love primarily came from the form of structure, right? In the form of action, in the form of problem solving, and not through the right, proper emotional mirror for her, or through soft, tender, intimate, emotional conversations, or, sweet, flowery words of poetic romance. So his love towards her and the marriage did not come from those spaces all the time for her. So, at least not as much as what she wanted in her fantasy. So she thought once she received the provisions, right, she'll finally feel safe in this world. She thought that she'd be able to relax. She thought that her life can start and everything will be flowery roses and poems. But instead, guess what happened, right? Her abandonment wounds flared up. Her little girl's self, right, the one who was used to earning love through attention, performing, overgiving, all that flared up. So that flares up, and when she tries to perform in front of her husband, it wasn't seen, it wasn't mirrored back, right? She eventually could not feel seen, she couldn't feel heard. So in a way, right, choosing the provider kind of a man, she wasn't chasing survival, but now she was chasing emotional intimacy and the right perfect emotional mirror for her. And the palace that he built for her, right, felt a little too quiet for her at times. So most women, darling, or even the polarity coaches out there, right, fail to say this out aloud. So provision can create peace, containment for you, but it can also awaken a certain type of grief, as many shadow aspects of yourself doesn't find the right mirror in that containment. Okay, so many shadow aspects of yourself might not be um, might go unmet by your husband, by your provider man, because of which you might feel the grief, loneliness, you might feel unheard, unseen, abandoned, all of those things. So so that is what we're going to dive deep into this video. All right, the cons. Yeah, everybody knows the pros of marrying a provider type archetype. However, not many people out there talk about, quote unquote, the cons of living with and building a life with and marrying a provider type man. So if you like content like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my work. Everything about this channel is self-funded, darling. I don't have any sponsors. So I'm funding everything about my work, this channel, everything, and the only thing that I ask of you is your support through your likes, your subscriptions, and your shares. I know many of you share my content to your loved ones, and I love that. I love that about you. It shows me something about the quality of woman who's tuning in. So I deeply honor and respect those of you who share my videos, because everything I do, this message needs to spread, darlings. This message many women out there need to hear. All right, so do your little bit by supporting this channel. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and share, darlings, especially if you find this of value and you know someone out there who might need this message. All right, so yes, so a woman marries this provider, does all the inner work and marries this provider type man. So so there is this grief that she might feel, right, for all the years that she carried everything alone, fully being in her masculine, and now someone else is taking on all of that load, right? So there is this whole emptiness and void left in her life, right? Everything she used to do, now the man is carrying. So there is emptiness. So there might be grief involved, those things. There might also be grief that comes up for the fantasy version of love that you dreamed of, right? The poetic version, the emotionally perfectly mirror version, the emotionally fully 100% emotionally available kind of love that she might have held as a fantasy love in her mind because of the matrix that we live in. Those fantasies might get crumbled, and she might have to go through a grief process around all of these things. Now, what I'm talking about is, if you go and watch, don't forget to go and watch the 4 archetypical energetic masculine hierarchies that I talk about, and the lowest one in the ladder is the boy archetype that I talk about. Now, maybe in her past, she might have dated a boy archetype, and he might have been able to give her the poetic romance and the fantastical moments in her past relationship. So she might miss those, and maybe he was very like emotionally, because he many boys and men, the lower 2 categories that I talk about, might have a lot of feminine energies online for them. They might be actively working with their feminine energies. So which means almost like a girlfriend, one of her past lovers might have been able to sit with her and emotionally mirror her properly in a perfect way, and you know what I'm talking about, right? So if that was her experience, let's say with one of her old partners with a boy type archetype or a man type archetype, she might have had this fantastical idea about love, even because she might have been in her girl mode and she might have been in the woman mode herself. So now she's done the work and she's up leveled herself, and she's magnetized and manifested a provider type, like husbandry coded, king coded man, or an emperor type of an archetype, right? Both of these archetypes are provision oriented, protection oriented, and that in itself, and especially if her nervous system or her storyline, her timeline has not experienced souls like this, it might bring up a whole lot of these things, that grief and things that we are going to talk about in this video, darling. Let me know if you resonate in the comments, right? So now this husbandry coded king type archetype or the emperor type archetype, right? They might not be fully emotionally they might not be able to mirror the perfect emotional availability to you, the perfect emotional consciousness to you. Okay, so you might feel that grief for the moments when your husband, right, the provider man's hands are full. He's carrying, right, he's carrying a world for you, so his hands and mind is full, and you might feel empty because you feel like you're holding your heart and your emotions all alone in silence. Okay, so my love, you prayed for a provider, right? You got the husbandry coded king, or if lucky, even the emperor. But now your nervous system is like whispering to you, what do I do with this? Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about here. I want to talk about the trade-off principle, right? Like, in my world, we know that everything, just 1 minute. Sorry. We know that everything has an energetic exchange to it, all right? Nothing is for free in this world, though later on I'll share some things, especially when it comes to quantum jumping, quantum leaping, that comes with ease and what you might feel like is free. But even that, in my opinion, has had a lot of the great work behind it, okay? So let's talk about this trade-off principle, all right? If I'm looking here, it's because I have my notes here. Okay. This is what most women are not prepared for, darling. Everything has a cost, all right? So even provision, even choosing the king or the emperor has a cost. Most things in life are an energetic exchange. So you might not pay in terms of dollars or your masculine energy, but you will pay with doing the omega work, like I call it, right? You might not be paying with your alpha energies, but you will be paying with your omega energies, like doing deep inner healing work, or doing the great work around your projections onto your husband. You might have to do awareness work on your own unmet needs and find ways of meeting those needs, right? Your own expectations. So here's what I mean. In depth psychology, right, there's something called projection withdrawal. So Carl Jung says that, and I know I've quoted this a lot, this is one of my favorite quotes of Carl Jung, and he says, like, until you make your subconscious conscious, it will pretty much direct your life, and you will then call it fate. So what happens when a man finally powerfully steps up in his masculine principle for you, and when he says, don't worry, darling, I got you, I'll handle this, I'll protect you, I'll provide this, I got you, right? Your unconscious relaxes for a moment, but then something else happens. Your shadow will rise, right? Suddenly the parts of you that have been performing for love, all right, or has been manipulating or controlling or proving or over giving for love, all those inner shadow parts of you, they don't know what to do with themselves now. All right, this marriage with a provider type king or the emperor himself, right, they don't hold space in the container ship for all of these shadow parts of you, which the boy type archetype or the man type archetype in your past history might have held space for all these things. But the top two layer of the cake, they don't. All right, so these parts of you don't know what to do with themselves. So in the sense, they will not find the right emotional mirror back to themselves. The shadow parts of you will be left alone. Okay, there is no one. Your masculine man will not be validating them. They will not even hear them. They will not even see them. They will not validate them. They will not mirror them. They will not uh, use their mental energies or their emotional energies to be there for these shadow parts of yourself. They will not mirror it back to you. All right, even in conversations sometimes. So um, let me share a very deeply personal story. All right, it's a personal example from my own marriage. So let's go there, darlings. So one of my old woundings, right? Like I say, the first 20 years of my life was my trauma phase. Okay, like many of us tuning in. So through that first phase of my life, one of my core woundings is being not seen as someone who knows stuff, right? Like not smart, like, oh, like not seen as smart in a way, okay? Not seen as someone who knows things, who's intelligent, right? As a child. So there was a time when, see, basically what happened was my unique type of intelligence was different. My unique type of knowing and smartness was different as a child, okay? So uh, because it was not properly mirrored in my childhood, I carried this core wound, okay? So I do feel a little vulnerable sharing this with you, darlings. So this is something that crops up for me even today, to be very honest, and I'm doing the great work around all of these things when these things get triggered. So let's go there. So um, so basically, I had developed a trauma response of coping with this wounding by trying to come across smart and intelligent, etc., right, in my adult life. So how might they show up? Like, I might be very forceful with my perspectives or opinions, and I spend a lot of time researching, studying, and knowledge, and it might show up I'm not saying these things are bad, these things are great, but for me, it stemmed from a shadow space to overperform, to show off my smartness, my knowing, or my understanding, or my intelligence. So, this was my shadow, and honestly, I was not aware of it. It was unaware in me until my marriage, of course. So it was completely buried in my own shadow. Okay, and I can't believe that I had lived an entire life, the first, early parts of my life, my 30s and all, uh, living life and working in life carrying this shadow. So anyway, I had done the inner work, like many of you ladies know, almost 10 years of it. And then I manifested a husband recorded king type archetype in my husband today. So I got married. So during my marriage, especially in the earlier stages of my marriage, this shadow in me kept cropping up. So every time, right, of course, I wasn't aware of it, but every time from that shadow, I overperformed to show off my smartness or intelligence or knowing about something, right? My intellectual abilities with certain subjects or certain perspectives or whatnot, right? What my husband used to do was actually, it used to hurt me initially, and I used to do more of it. Okay, and so it was tricky because I was not aware of it. Okay, so what my husband used to do was he would, during those moments, he would just will not mirror me, right? He will not even participate in that conversation with me. Imagine that, right? He did not mirror me mentally or emotionally, or even, like, sometimes he might even leave the room in a kind way, of course. So basically, he did not want to play that game with me. He will not want to be a part of it. And it showed up in so many ways, right? He might change the topic or simply not listen, right? And it was like, for me, what it felt like was I was performing for like a wall. Okay. And that brought up so many things up for me, right? Because these are stuff that's deeply buried in my shadow. And for a long while, I actually did not get that pattern, all right, until I got it, of course. And when I got it, I had to work with it. I had to do the inner work around all of those things and find my healing, right? So, this is what I'm talking about. So, see, these kind of relationships, right? Your marriage with the provider coded man archetype, the top two archetypes, are going to very quickly bring up awareness. Like, it's going to bring all this shit up, ladies, all right? Especially if you've had a traumatic childhood, all right? And you got to work with it. You got to bring your awareness around these things. So for me, in my personal story, right, it took a lot. It took a lot of work for me to catch me during these moments when I become this person, right? This overperforming person who tries to show off her intelligence and her smartness and her knowing about everything, perfect perspectives about everything, right? And then my husband responded in this way, or not responded in the right way for me, which all of my past people, right, especially the boys or the men category in my past life, they used to mirror this side of me beautifully. Okay. So I was never in any moment in my past where I had to confront this shadow of mine. But in the early stages of my marriage, this came up, and I had to do the inner healing work. I had to bring awareness to it. And then the understanding came up. I understood, like, when I'm deeply embodied in my heart, in my body, when I'm deeply aligned, and the conversations that I share with my husband from that space was pretty much the only area he had space in his container for with me in our partnership, all right? And anytime, like, I come from my shadows, like, over all of these things, he didn't want to play that game with me. So he was wanting to connect with me deeply at a soul level, at a heart level, at an embodied Eliandra to my husband, right? That deep connection level, and not anything outside of that. So after doing all the work, I figured that out. And what that brought up, another challenge for me, was to be able to be in my heart, in my soul, and my body most of the time. Okay. And in my interaction with my husband, of course. And so that was something that I had to work on within myself. And once I did, of course, it was our union deepened in intimacy and beauty and honesty and authenticity and soul to soul connection, right? The emotional intimacy just kept growing once I got that, and I brought my awareness to it and did the great work around it. So this is what I'm talking about. So it basically took a whole lot of inner work for me personally around this, right? I learned that for example, my husband could only hear and could only mirror the genuine parts of me, the raw heart and the soul parts of me, the soul felt conversations, my real voice. My husband can pretty much only hear my real, authentic, true voice. And though it gets tricky at times, right? But the performer in me doesn't have an audience in him. The underlying shadow from that space, when a performer comes up, right? He doesn't mirror that back to me. So it does get tricky, I must say. To be honest, it does come up even now and then in a marriage, but I'm very quick to bring my awareness around all of those things, and I quickly, move my energies around very quickly in that moment. But I am improving I need to still improve my muscle around communicating with my real raw voice with my husband, and he only has containership for that. So See, this is the pros and cons of being with the provider type man. All right. I hope it's landing. I hope it makes sense. Let me know in the comments. Just write this word landed if this has landed. All right. So right. Um, all those, the performance I made to get this, how intellectually astute this my woman is, right? When I get into those modes, he used to like blank off. He like energetically drew boundaries to those shadow conversations that I used to have with him earlier on in the marriage, right? That came from the shadow parts of me. So I used to feel, now see, that's going to trigger so much in us ladies, right? So for me, it started triggering, like I started feeling unheard, which is also another co-wounding of mine, right? I felt unheard, I felt not seen, I felt like I was not mirrored back, which led to, oh my gosh, that spiral. Oh my God, my self-worth got attached into all of those things. So until I got it, and I had to do the inner work, okay, around all of those things. And yes, like I mentioned, to be honest, I still have to do it now and then, right? Like it's a co-wounding after all. So ladies, when you choose the top tier kind of men, right? The castle is there for you, the containment is there for you, the structure is there for you, the provision is there, the protection is there, the masculine, beautiful containment to hold you safe and secure and provided for is there. But you might be left alone with all your shadows that his containment will not hold. All right? Everything you thought a man was supposed to fix inside you, he's not going to do that work for you, my darling. All right? So that's the psychological flip, right? The safer he makes you feel on the outside, the louder every shadow of your inner world becomes. So your nervous system has relaxed, unburdened from all of your survival modes, right? So now it begins scanning for deeper. So what happens is, okay, I want to rephrase this in a different way. So you have been, say, operating in survival mode, in your masculine mode, and you had to like hustle. You were the hustler. You were like the bad boss, the girl boss vibes and all of those things. No shame, no blame. I was in that. I have done that. I have been her as well. So you were carrying everything. So now this man enters, all right, and your nervous system is in a spa, okay? You can relax because everything is handled. So now what it does, it starts scanning, all right, for deeper. It gets into your shadow and all those tight, tensed up parts in your field. And those things start coming up, especially in the initial stages of your marriage, okay? So when those parts starts coming up, it might start wanting softness from your man, empathy and compassion from your husband, because these are raw parts of you. These are like shadow parts of you that you might not be aware of, that has not seen the light of day. When I mean the light of day, I mean your conscious awareness has not touched those parts of you. So when they come up, there is this little girl side of you, right, that wants your husband to mollycoddle you around it, to be soft like a mother around all those things. You might project, you want your husband to become your daddy, right? Or like the fantastical image of a man who will emotionally mirror all those things to you. Okay, be present with all of those shadow parts of you and like work with you and help you to bring all those parts of you to the light and heal all those parts of you. Okay, so there might be a part of you that might have these expectations or wants of this softness, this mirror, this understanding, this healer from your man. Okay, I have been there, ladies. However, right, the husbandry coded king or the emperor, he's not always, he's not always there for you in that way that you might want or expect you to be. Okay, so here's the truth, darling, right? Provisions, right? These kind of partnerships comes with some trade-off. Nothing is free in life, all right? There is always an energetic exchange. So I want to name the top the top 3 exchanges, energy exchanges, when you are married to or a man, or dating for marriage and wanting to only choose and marry a man who's the provision type man. All right, these are the 3 energy exchanges that you need to be aware of, darling. The top 3 at least. All right, so the first one is time versus money. So he gives you security, all right, but he's not available for you for all your beck and call, right? He works long hours, right? He's on the phone, he's building the very container you have dreamed about, you have asked for, but you miss him, right? Like you feel like you're fed but might feel unfelt. You know what I mean? So there is an energy exchange between like time versus money. Bluntly put, your man's time is taken off to build the castle, right? For money. So you might be fed with all the beautiful gifts that his money can offer you, but you might feel unfelt because his time is all taken away to create that kingdom or the empire, right? The next energetic exchange that you'll have to be aware of is this: logic versus emotion. So he'll be the one. So this is for another video, another story with my husband. Okay, it's the cutest thing though. Maybe I might share it here. So there is an energy exchange with like logic versus emotion. Okay, so he's like the masculine, the principle itself, right? It's a very problem solving principle. So your man will be like, he solves problems but doesn't always soothe the pain of the problem. Okay, so he wants to fix it, but he might not want to feel the pain of it with you. Okay, so when you cry, he might like, see, we are emotional creatures, right? We are beautiful feminine creatures. So we have this problem, we have this issue or whatever, right? So we're crying, we're venting or whatever. So that's come up, and you are in this emotional state, and he might offer you a checklist. Okay, so when you are spiraling, he might be like coming in with problem solving skills, his hat on, right? How to solve my wife's problems, my woman's issues. So he might be like offering solutions, right? And this might leave you feeling unseen, unheard, unmet. Okay, so this is something that you learn to understand, work with the top 2 kind of men. So the first one was time and money exchange. The next thing is logic and emotion exchange, and this is the third the third top energy exchanges that you have to be consciously aware of when you are consciously marrying and building a life with a provider type of a man. All right, which is, hang on a minute, yeah, which is safety versus softness. So like safety, security versus softness. So what this is about is, of course, he protects you, right? But he might not be very playful. He might not be very spontaneously, carelessly, freely playful with you. Okay, he pays the bills, but he might forget the poetry of life. um so he built the structure but doesn't know how to dance inside it with you. And so you begin to question, right? Is this what I wanted? Right? Can I even ask for more? Or will I be ungrateful if I do? Or is this it? Is this what it is? And even like all the coaches you learned feminine energy from, and how to date a provider and rotational dating, you might even hate on all of those coaches. Okay? If you don't know what I'm sharing about in this video. So make sure, darlings, these are things that many women, even like top coaches, do not talk about. The polarity coaches talk about in their work. This, I feel, is really important for women to know. So see, that this is what I talk about. There's always an energy exchange, darling. Okay, so either you give your masculine energies in a marriage, or you will have to give exchange your omega energies. And so this is not the aesthetics of soft life, soft marriage stuff. What I'm talking about here is the real work of being in your feminine energies in your marriage, the real work of soft life. All right, that's behind doors. So if this landed, make sure you like this video, darling, and subscribe to my work, because in my channel, in my work, we go deep. We talk about stuff many people do not talk about, and trust me, at least not on the open forums. And trust me, many people pay hundreds of dollars to even go as deep as I go for free in my YouTube channel. All right, so we do deep diving work here. And if you're my kind of chica, if you like this kind of work, if you like my vibe, don't forget to subscribe and share it with a woman you know in your life, a sister, a friend, a relative who has married this beautiful providership archetype man. However, she's going through all of these things in her marriage, right? If somebody like that comes to mind that you know in your real life, don't forget to share this video with her. You might even have a chuckle with her. So these are the top 3 energy exchanges. All right, this is where women might start to spiral in the initial stages of the marriage, right? Or they've listened to all these feminine energy content online, and they've chosen a provider type man, and then first 1 year, 2 year, third year of their marriage, especially the first 2 years of their marriage, the women might start to spiral, because all of these things coming up, because they've in a way they've received what they thought they wanted, but inside it's activating new needs of sorts, right? New wounds are coming up, new desires are coming up. And if you don't understand the trade-offs for provision, you will resent the man who is actually doing his sacred work that his soul has come here to do. So see, this is not because he's wrong, right? This is because your soul is hungry for a certain level of emotional mirroring and emotional intimacy, right? While your mind is still might be counting all the blessings of this providership man has brought into your life. So your mind is like, oh my God, I've never experienced this before, but this man has provided me with a beautiful home, the car. I don't have to maintain the home, I don't have to maintain the car, all the logistics, all the heavy lifting around the grounded earthly stuff is taken care of, right? So your mind can actively see and count all the beautiful blessings and gifts that this man brings into your life, right? But then there is this grief, there is this pain, there is this wounding. All of these shadows are also coming up, and from that shadow space you have new wants, needs, desires. Okay, so let's go deeper, darling. I want to let's decode what's really happening. Okay, so you don't confuse your man's protection for rejection. So you don't destroy the kingdom that you prayed to enter. So I want to talk about 5 real life negative of being with a provider, husbandry coded king type archetype, or an emperor archetype. All right, 5 real life negative. See, this type of a man and his love, his real love, isn't built on fantasy, darling. All right, it's built on clarity. Your providership masculine man's love is never about poetry or fantastical romance. It is always grounded. It is always built on clarity, all right, on self-awareness, like the masculine principles, deep conscious self-awareness, and never on dreams and poetry and fantasies and let's see, or let's go with the flow. Okay. So here's the thing that most women don't realize until they're inside this relationship containment or this marriage with a provider type man. So being with a provider type man, a true husbandry king or emperor coded man, has very real costs. All right, they are not financial, but they might be emotional. All right, they might be you might have to become this true omega. You might have to step in deeply into your own queenship, deeply into your own emperorship. All right, so you don't have to hustle financial this or that, or heavy lifting around all of your wants and needs, right? They're all taken care of, but you might have to do the heavy lifting when it comes to your inner world, your inner realms, your emotional quotient, your emotional intelligence, your energetic and spiritual intelligence, your psychological intelligence, right? So I want to name them clearly so you don't spiral into confusion later on, all right? While in your real life marriage with your providership man. Number 1, this is the real life negative, darling. All right, he may not be emotionally available. All right, so the provider coded man, they live in high pressure, right? High functioning environments. They are constantly navigating risks and many responsibilities and taking care of so many outcomes, right? And in that reality, emotions can feel like a liability for him. It will weaken him. So he's not ignoring you to hurt you, all right? He, like the example that I gave, right, in the initial stages of my marriage. So I used to literally think that my husband was ignoring me, and that hurt me. Okay, it wasn't that at all. It's the fact that he is in his masculine polarity 90% of the time, and in that masculine polarized world, it cannot, like in my case, for example, right, it cannot hold such shadows from his woman. Okay, and when he's in that zone, how can he be soft? Right? So a lot of times even his own softness might have to get shelved. So especially in my marriage, right, like my husband, 90% of his time he's in his alpha mode. So when I need some things to be spoken about, understood, clarified, found a solution to, whatnot, I have to make sure that I bring those things up when he's in the 10% softness time of his. All right, when I take it to him when he's in his 90% alpha mode, trust me, it's gonna hurt me. Okay, because he's operating in his masculine polar uh, polarity mode, which he is 90% of the time. So doesn't mean that he's like a robot, or he doesn't have, he's heartless or any, he's cold or anything. No, all right. In that world, he's battling so many other things that you and I will not even will understand, right? And if you did, if you got real insights into what your masculine man is battling in that polarized world that he lives in most of the time, darling, it'll move you to tears. Trust me, it will move you to tears, right? So that was another thing. At initial stages of my marriage, I used to try and talk to him and communicate to him when he's on that 90% mode. But now, as the wife coded queen archetype that I've fully embodied, now I know, right? My spidey sense tells me when to go to my husband with what. So when my shadows are coming up, and I need softness, and I need the type of emotional mirror and all of those things, I make sure that my husband is not in this 90% mode, he's in his 10% mode. And this is for another video, okay? Basically, I go to him at the right time, okay? And so when the man is operating in this 90% mode, right, in that zone, softness, there's no space for softness. It's not because he's cold, okay? Not because he doesn't care for you, not because he doesn't love you, not because he's not cherishing you or adoring you. There is just no space for it, all right? It's gotten shelved in his mind for the time when he is in his 10% mode. So when he's in his 90% mode, darling, what the man will need from you is peace. He wants peace. And when he's in his 90% mode, he is not wanting like emotional deep dive mirroring processes with you, right? At that time, with his queen or his empress, he wants peace. He wants a certain level of ease, all right? Not deep diving into your shadow emotional worlds, or excavating your shadow and working with all of those things, all right? So this is where in my close real friend circle, I bring this analogy, all right? Like women, our fields, right? We women, the ocean is feminine, water is feminine, all that, right? So ocean is like the feminine energy. I'm talking about an analogy here. So if you look at the ocean like I am right now, beautiful stretch of ocean right there in front of me, right? It has this upper layer, right, which is calm. Only in the oceans you have these waves, but the entire stretch, all right, of the ocean, it of course has its ripples, these beautiful little ripples and whatnot that's happening on the top layer of the ocean. And then the light penetrates, right? You see it as blue. Light penetrates through that layer of the ocean. If you think about light as masculine, okay, and water as feminine, the top layer is the only layer where the light can penetrate. The masculine will want when he is in his 90% alpha mode. That's all he will want from you. That is what he will perceive as peace, his home, his ease, that's all he'll want from you. Now is that all that the ocean is, darling? Firstly, answer me. Let me know. Answer this in your head. All right, if you've seen National Geographic channels and everything, you know the worlds that are buried underneath that top layer of the ocean. And that's what every woman is. And does light penetrate into all of those layers, the deep, dark, glorious, mysterious, mystical, magical, dangerous shadow layers and depths of the ocean? Does light penetrate there? No, right? That's the world of the Omega. That's the world of the Apsara to play in, to have fun in, to bring awareness to enjoy herself in. And the quintessential provider type man will want to stay in the top layers of your ocean. all right? And he will have clear energetic, mental boundaries, emotional boundaries, spiritual boundaries, energetic boundaries when it comes to your deep waters. Okay? And as the Omega, you gotta have the muscle. You gotta slowly learn to build that muscle to be able to hold the entire depths of the ocean for yourself, by yourself, on your own. All right? And there might be certain times when you can show that storm up and bring that thing up. When your husband's in that 10% mode, you can bring that up and enjoy that with him without drowning him or wanting to pull him down into the depths of your own waters. That is not a space for a provider type man, darlings. That is not, in my opinion, the space for, yeah, especially the masculine energy man. That's not their space at all. That is your world, darling. All right? You can share it with your the feminine collective in your life around you. Okay? So that's a little bit of an ocean analogy that might help you understand. Put a ocean emoji, that waves ocean emoji in the comment section if this analogy landed. All right? So basically the calm, peaceful surface of the ocean. All right? That's what your man will want when he's operating in the 90% of his alpha world, and not the deep, dark depths of your emotional and spiritual life. So, there's one of my old one-on-one clients which I don't take anymore. I don't take one-on-one clients anymore, darling. I know. I've responded to you. I've received a couple of requests on my channel's email asking for one-on-one, and I've responded to you. Ladies, I don't take up one-on-one clients right now, all right? I'm in the creative process of creating some beautifully awesome, fun, amazing things for you guys. So that's where I'm wrapped up at the moment. So, sorry, yeah? Okay, so one of my old, there was a time in my journey when I took a couple of one-on-one clients, and I'll always remember this thing. It was so cute. She said that, yeah, he paid the mortgage, but I didn't know, this is what she said, like, my husband paid the mortgage, but I didn't know that I'll be like crying for 3 days after that. Okay. So this is why you gotta learn, especially if you've married a provision type man, on how to hold the deep waters of your emotional life, your spiritual life, your energetic life, your feminine life. Okay. All right, darling. What else did I want to share? Oh yeah. So yes. So I want you to start reframing these things, all right, and not judge your provider type man, right? This is where understanding, empathy, and compassion comes in, and understanding of the masculine principle itself. So so these moments in your marriage when man is on the 90% and you are in your deep dark waters, and you don't get the right emotional mirroring, right? So you feel unfelt, unseen, you feel hurt, you feel abandoned, you feel alone or whatnot, right? So, and you are feeling these things. These are your emotions, by the way. Number one, you got to take responsibility for your emotions. And this is the state of your feelings. And it's not because he is cold-hearted, okay? Get that out, darling. It's because he is wired, he is coded to protect, not to pause and co-regulate with you, right? So he solves, he doesn't soothe your emotional waters, especially the deep waters, darling. So I want you to reframe this, love, right? Don't expect emotional co-regulation from a man who is wired to regulate your survival, okay? Do not expect emotional, spiritual co-regulation, don't expect emotional co-regulation with your husband, because he is coded to regulate the bricks and the mortar and the foundation and the roofing system and the plumbing system and the electricity system and, the landscaping model of your castle. He is not built to regulate the temperature within it, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? The feelings within it, the heart, the emotions within that castle. That is your job as the wife-coded queen, darling. That is your job as the empress herself. So when he's in his 90% more, 90% mode, right? His eyes, they are, he's built this castle for you, and his eyes, they're scanning the horizon for threats, believe it or not. Okay? They are not focused in scanning your emotional life or your energetic life or your spiritual life. All right? That is your game, darling. Let's move on to the second real life negative of marrying a provider type man. You may feel like an afterthought. See, all of these things are not all the time. Some crucial moments, all right? You might feel like an afterthought. So this one stings, darling, especially for women who are used to attention as love, all right? So I want you to visualize this. Imagine like a golden throne, all right, with a queen sitting on it. But her king is standing on the edge of his battlefield, sword in hand, and his back to her. So he's not leaving her, right? He's protecting her and her kingdom and their kingdom. But what she sees is his back, not his eyes. And it might feel like abandonment to her nervous system. So provider coded men often love through their presence and their protection, right? And not through poetry, praise, or like some fantastical romantic stuff. So if your nervous system is wired to equate and associate love with constant attention, constant presence, and some sort of a feminine emotional mirroring, right? This can feel devastating. Like seeing your man's back might feel devastating for you. So you won't feel like the center of his universe all the time, darling. Not because you are not important, all right, but because his attention, right, is his currency, and he's spending it on the empire. So provider type men often love through their stability, right? Their presence, their acts of protection, their strategic nature. All right. And just to name a few, and like their strategic investments into you and to the and building the kingdom, and it's not about all the time about heart to heart, long heart to heart conversations, and like daily affirmation for you, and to daily build you up and nurture you like your mother or a parent would, right? So it's not like provider type men. It's not about like cuddles and attention on demand for you. So if your love language is, let's say, quality time or words of affirmation or emotional mirroring, this can feel brutal. See, darling, he may not give you the same language of love that you are fluent in, right? But that doesn't mean his love isn't real, right? Number 3, the real life negative of being with a masculine man. His masculine focus feels like absence for you. This is a big one, darling. See, provider men are often mono-focused, as I call it, okay? So let me draw something for you. Oh my God, I should have used this whiteboard more. Okay, I'm glad I'm starting it now. So I'm going to talk, okay, let's talk. Okay, I'm going to draw this tunnel, all right? This dark tunnel. And imagine this one beam of light that's passing through this tunnel. Only one beam of light, all right? So this is what I call the monofocused masculinity, all right? A lot of people joke around all of this and make fun of this, shame it, emasculinate this and whatnot, okay? on the opposite side of the spectrum, right, the feminine polarity, we're more diffused focus. So there is a power in diffused focus as well as there is a power in monofocus. So monofocus masculinity, right? So when he's locked into his mission, right, he's not multitasking, right? He's monotasking. That's laser focus. It's the same quality that brings success, darling, like strategy and safety. But to you, in certain moments, this can feel like distance, like you're not being chosen at that particular moment, and it might make you feel invisible, but you're not, right? You're simply not at the center of his focus in that particular moment, because his nervous system is hunting, solving, building 90% of the time. All right. So they're not multitaskers. They are more mission focused. They are locked in. So when he's building the business, right, fixing the estate, the home, or solving problems for you, for people in the family, he disappears into the work, not because he's avoiding you, but because his nervous system only does one thing at a time. And if you're choosing to interpret this and perceive this as distance, as neglect, as coldness, or disinterest, it's going to be hard on your love, and it's going to be hard on your marriage, right? As the saying goes, the emperor disappears into the war so you can sleep peacefully at night. So remember that. So it's not rejection, darling, it's containment. All right, in a language your inner child may not understand just yet. See, the wounded feminine might misread this absence as emotional withdrawal, but it's not rejection, it's masculine containment. It's the quiet roar of a man on mission for you, darling, right? For your family. So the fourth real life negative of marrying a provider coded man. Your feminine, right? Your omega must learn to be strong enough to hold the kingdom, to hold the home, to hold the family. Okay? So your feminine energy needs to be strong. This is what no one tells you, darling. Okay? They say, oh, feminine, like, weak and fragile. See, this is what happens, right? This is what no one tells you. The bigger your masculine man, the bigger the man's masculine container for you, the bigger his kingdom or empire is, the stronger your feminine must be to hold it. All right? Not by doing more, but by being more. Say, for instance, right? You have something to fix in the house. Now, how a boy or a man or a king or an emperor might handle this one particular problem, circumstance, an issue in your life will vary. All right, one issue, let's say something is broken down in your home, and how these 4 different types of archetype will handle it, this issue of yours will be drastically different. Okay, for example, a boy might, if you go up to a boy and say, oh my God, this thing has broken down in our home, right? This thing is not working. The boy type archetype will be like, okay, why are you telling me? Go fix it. The boy needs a man. The boy needs a daddy. A boy needs a mommy. So you need to play daddy for him. You need to play mommy for him, and you'll have to go fix it. He might not even understand why you are bringing it to him. Okay, what are you at? Like, he's not going to be available for that. He's not. His container cannot hold that, right? Now, this, if it's going to be a man, and you're bringing this issue that something broken down in your home, you're bringing this issue to your man, he might be like so confused about it. He might do this, and he might not problem solve, handle that issue in the right way, or he might forget it, or he might not do it at all. He doesn't have the resources, the capabilities, or know-how to handle it for you. Okay, so you might have to do it. Now, let's imagine you've married a husbandry coded king, and you're like coming up to your king and you're saying, hey, husbandry coded king archetype husband, this is broken down in the house. Now, he has the resources, the money, the know-how, who to call, when to call, how to talk to them, to, let's say an AC gets broken down in your home, and you've gone to your king coded man. So immediately he's like, okay, fine, so this is what's probably the issue. So do I have the resources for it? Yes. Do I know who to call? Yes. Do I know what to say? Yes. And he'll organize all of that, make that call. So the AC electrician or the AC fixing people will come, and he will direct it. He'll make sure it's all fine, it's fixed, it's problem solved. And he will also know the technology behind it, so he will know how to handle it the next time, and he'll make the payment, make sure, and he will make sure that you don't have to, put in your alpha energies, your doing energies to sort all these things out. So he will handle it for you, right? So can you see the difference, right? Now let's go to the highest codings of masculine energetic evolution, which is the emperor. So how might an emperor, let's say you're coming to an emperor and you're saying, oh my God, my baby, our AC is not working properly at home. Now, the emperor might not even be at home, all right? One call, he might like, this is how it might play out. It's just an example, right? Let's say a manager from his empire might come along with the two laborers, and this will be fixed. Like, it will be fixed in a manner where you don't even have to lift a finger. Like, you don't even have to, all you have to do is just open the door and go into your room. Even your energy will be protected. You know what I'm talking about, right? The difference is, let's say a king, husbandry coded king, like you might have to open the door, you might have to, let's say he's not at home, right? You might have to be there watching this guy, making sure that the room is safe and he's not stealing anything, make sure that nothing gets dirty, so you might have to move the bed. So your certain level of energetic presence might be required in this particular example, right? But if you look at the emperor archetype, he just puts a manager for you. So even your presence is not required for the issue to get sorted in the empire, in the kingdom. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the higher up the masculine, so the difference is what I want to say, the difference between the king and the emperor, how he handled the same AC breaking down, is the emperor even protects your energy, even your energetic presence, your physical presence was not needed. The issue got sorted. Okay, you can just stay in your room, just open the door, the manager and the people who actually fix the thing come, fix everything, clean everything up, and just tell, madam, it's sorted, and he will leave. The manager will tell that to you and he will leave. All right, and probably then the emperor will just make a call saying, baby, is it all sorted? Did they do a good job? Oh, glad. And you just appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't even have to come out of your bedroom. So that's the difference. So basically, so the higher up the masculine energetic ladder he climbs, right, more of your omega will be expected out of you, darling. Not more of your alpha, all right? Not more of your doing, aka masculine energies, but more of your omega energies will be needed for the kingdom, for the empire. All right, more, what does that mean? More of your radiance, more of your emotional steadiness, right? More of your capability of receiving without collapsing into control or critiquing, right? Because here's the shadow pattern. If your feminine isn't fully embodied, right, you will start resenting what you prayed for. You will start nitpicking, you might start criticizing, you might start complaining, try to correct his leadership instead of appreciating it. And the entire polarity will collapse. So I want to okay, we'll do this later. I want you to just imagine like two cups, okay? 2 cups. One is made out of porcelain, all right? And one is made out of glass. So imagine two cups. One is a beautiful porcelain cup and one is a beautiful glass cup. Okay. Now, if you pour this hot gold, like imagine you're pouring hot, the masculine principle, right? The hot yellow gold into both of these cups. The beautiful porcelain cup can hold it. But the glass cup, what happens? Hot gold comes into it. It'll shatter. Okay? So this is the difference, darling. This is the difference between unprepared feminine and the embodied feminine energy. So the hotter the provision, the stronger your container must be. So the provider type of man needs things, all right? Needs a container. He needs emotional space. He needs energetic softness. He needs the radiant beauty, all right? The appreciation. But if your feminine is still coded on survival, right, you will collapse. You might, what do I mean by collapse? You will start like controlling him. You will compete with his masculinity. You might chop his balls off. You might emasculinate him, right? You might try to mother him. You might gaslight him. You will compete with him and try to make him smaller instead of co-creating and building him up and being able to receive more and more from him, right? So you will start critiquing him instead of celebrating him and appreciating him. So I'm going to drop an Empress code here, darling, right? Can you appreciate the walls he built even when they feel cold at times? Because sometimes safety isn't about soft, okay? Sometimes might feel like stone, right? But the stone is structure, not a sign of emotional neglect, okay? So I dropped a little Empress code in there for you. I don't know if you caught it. Let's move on. Number 5, real life negative of being with a provider coded masculine man. Your inner child, right? The wounded inner child might resent the structure. Like it might think like it's a cage, okay? So, yeah, I'm going to draw this. Ooh. Okay, so imagine this is like a golden cage, okay? And there's a pretty bird inside it. Okay, pretty bird inside a beautiful golden cage. Okay, however, the door of the cage is not closed. All right, this is the door. It is wide open. Beautiful golden cage with everything that the bird needs inside it, and the door wide open, right? So I want you to imagine this, darling. But the bird doesn't fly out, all right? She stares out, afraid of the world. This is what happens to many women when the provision arrives, okay? They will finally feel held and then they will panic because needing someone might feel like danger to their nervous system. Like relying on someone might even feel like regression. So they might pull back and they might sabotage by micromanaging or emotionally escaping the relationship. You know, the very thing that they once longed for. So this is the independence wound, as I call it. So here's the paradox, darling, right? You dreamed of being held, but now that you are, you feel trapped. And many women don't realize how much their independence was actually trauma coded. You learned that survival by doing it all alone, right, was it. And now you don't have to, right? The home is built, the structure is built, all right, and everything that you need is there. But inside you, the voice says, oh my gosh, if I need him, if I just need him, I'm not safe. If I start needing him, I'm not safe. If he does everything for me, this is not safe, right? So you become the bird who keeps like one wing out the window just in case. Okay. That's not your adult self, right? That's the orphaned inner child move. So terrified of it, sees this as control. So terrified of being controlled or indebted or disappointed sometime in the future. And so what do? You might completely reject this gift, or you sabotage the love, right? Or you harden, like, right, just enough so you never feel soft, never too held or too dependent. But you, my love, are not here to remain in survival mode, all right? You're here to soften into your sovereignty. You're not here to build backup plans, all right? You're here to build kingdoms with your masculine man. And that means healing the story that needing support equals weakness. I used to have that, okay? That needs to get healed. That comes from a trauma space, darling, all right, where your provisions were threatened by someone in your early childhood or the culture at large. So for you, if you feel over supported, over provided for, all right, and that very support you might think is a weakness, okay, or you might feel is going to weaken you or something. Imagine, ladies, right now as you're listening to this video, all right, there are women who live in like mansions. We're talking like 10,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet, 30,000 square feet. There are women right now who are living in mansions, and their entire with pools, maybe a separate pool for their fur babies and everything. All right, there's a chef, there is a gardener, there is a security team, there is a house management team, there is everything provided for this one lady. All right, there are women who are living this lifestyle, darling. How do you think her cup is holding all of these things? All right, her man has provided her the mansion, the cars, the yachts, the luxury travels, and so much more. I'm not saying that's the end all and be all right? This is just an example that I'm giving you. What I'm saying is there are women right now who are able to hold that level of hot gold provisionship from the masculine principle itself. All right, so what I'm talking about is not like woohoo aha random stuff. Okay, but that woman has developed in her a certain level of capacity, the omega strength in her to be able to hold all of those things. Okay, she needs to bring up her omega self to be able to hold that, to be that beautiful porcelain cup, as I call it. All right, so yeah, let's just breathe here for a bit. Okay, because these truths might be tender, right? They are layered, they are nuanced, and they are powerful, darling. And if you're willing to see them clearly, all right, you'll stop making his leadership like wrong. You'll stop misreading his mission in life as some abandon, that he's abandoning you, right? You'll stop confusing containment with rejection, and you'll start choosing love with your eyes wide open, and you start leading yourself from the inside out. All right, with this we'll end this video, and later on I'm going to be I have a few more notes written here, but I'm going to keep this for another video, another time. So this is what it is, darling. All right, the cons of choosing to date provisionship men. These are the cons of marrying a provider type man. So like I said, there is always going to be an energy exchange, and you get to choose in your romantic life, in your marriage, in your love, what energy you are choosing to exchange with your husband. I have consciously chosen to exchange my omega energies for my masculine alpha energies. All right, you might, honestly, darling, there's no right and wrong here. You might choose the other side of the spectrum as well, the polar side of the spectrum as well, where you are consciously choosing to exchange your alpha energies for your husband's omega energies, all right? But this channel, this work is not for those conscious choices. However, I want to point out the evolutionary negative of choosing that, all right? Because however much alpha you might be, darling, all right, the maximum, let's say it's 100%, right? The maximum you can hold is 51% of alpha. Okay, 49% has to be omega, right? The feminine. Otherwise, you won't be embodied, you won't be created, you won't be like born into a female body, right? So how much ever your mind and the matrix might lie to you and say that, ooh, and all of that, end of the day, biology plays a role, okay? So you can never hold the kind of alpha energies that a soul incarnated into a male body can, okay? If this rubs you the wrong way, it is the truth, darling, okay? And the same way, your man, when he's stepping into his feminine energies, does he have feminine energies? Of course, yes. But can he hold more feminine energies in his container, in his field, more than a woman can? Never, okay? He will collapse, he'll get into depression, okay? So, or like a woman who's holding more masculine energies in her field than she's biologically tuned to, she will burn out, okay? There will be a certain level of collapse, depression, so many issues, nervous system issues that will happen there. All right, so evolutionarily, like the way God intended, all right, the soul to experience this world, all right, that's how if you're born in a female body, your soul has incarnated to experience the omega energies in the world, all right? If your soul has born into a man's body, your soul has chosen to incarnate to learn and grow and, experience world from the alpha energies, the alpha prisms, right? The alpha's lens. So it is what it is, darling. Okay, I'm not saying that there can't be anything outside of what I'm talking about. Of course, right? Life can play out in so many different ways, but my channel, this work is not for all of those so many different ways. My channel, this work is specified for women who are consciously choosing to be in their omega, predominantly in their relationship with their masculine. So 90% in their feminine, which becomes so easy for us, trust me, all right? And allowing 90% in their feminine and 10% in their masculine with their man, and allowing the man to be 90% in his masculine. Trust me, it becomes so easy and freely for the healed masculine, all right? 90, allowing him and receiving him to be in 90% of his masculine and 10% of his feminine in the relationship. So this is what this world is about. Doesn't mean that there are no other ways of operating in the world, though maybe for another video I will talk about the cons of that, because you are going against your biology, you are working against evolution, you are working against what your soul has come here to do in a lot of cases, to experience in a lot of cases. So if you are though consciously choosing to be the alpha predominantly in your relationship, in your marriage, then I will create a few other videos for you. So don't forget to like and subscribe and be part of this world on how to best balance it out, okay? And being consciously aware of it. But this is what I say, darling. If that is your path, this channel is not for you. Like, let me just come out right clean and say it, all right? That is a different path where in a female body, you overriding so many of nature's codings, and you wanna, because of certain ideologies, you wanna override so many things and be somebody else. Okay, so that is why in my future videos I'll talk about how best to navigate that. Maybe 1 or 2 videos I will do it, so don't forget to subscribe. But however, this channel is not for you, and be warned, all right? That's going to be a hard life. If this is a soft life, soft, why? Soft doesn't mean nothing, okay? All right, it means you being the porcelain cup, and that takes work, trust me. So um, mm, soft in the sense biologically aligned, right? Spiritually aligned, like what your soul came here to do, aligned with all of that. What your soul came here to experience through a feminine body, female's body, right? So aligned with all of that. So that is kind of a soft life. So the energetic symmetry between you and your masculine husband, right, is aligned and like beautiful. The dance is beautiful. I'm not saying the dance won't be good here, because end of the day it's always the dance between the masculine and the feminine. I'm just saying that it might not be as potent and robust as it can be naturally. But can you work with all of those things? Yes. And yes, I will also drop in a couple of videos on say you are in your masculine and your husband's in his feminine. All right, know automatically that both of you are not completely aligned. Like you're not, both of you are not operating 100% in your relationship from the get-go. All right, because there's only so much of alpha energies you can hold in your female body. There's only so much of omega energies, feminine energies, that a man can hold in his man body. All right, so immediately it is a step down, in my humble opinion. All right, I've been in these situations, trust me. But you can like muscle it up and do whatever. All right, but just know, to begin with, you are beginning here. Can you hold it and run it and somehow make it work to your benefit? Yes, of course, yes. Anything you can make it work to your benefit. However, tune in, yeah. Hit a notification button, because I will drop some wisdoms on, as a woman who's playing the alpha masculine role predominantly in your marriage, in your relationship, how best can you balance things out, how you can strategize that kind of a lifestyle, how you can work around that kind of a situation, right? I will give you my thoughts, perspectives, wisdoms on it. See, darling, you are entitled to live life the way you choose to. There is no right or wrong here. You can live any way, anyhow you choose to. I'm just sharing what I have consciously choose to live in my personal life, in my marriage, and the advantages of it, and what I'm learning from it, and how best it is serving me. Okay. There are, of course, so many other ways of building relationships and being in marriages, and if you are someone who is creating and building relationship in a different way, then this is not the world for you. Okay. So I'm just sharing, I'm just creating a video for feminine souls like me, who are tired of doing this, who are exhausted of doing this, who are burnt out from doing this, and this thing honestly has not worked for them. Though all the feminine, like women empowerment and feminism and the matrix and all those lies, I have done them. I have followed those ideologies, all right? And it has not worked for me personally in my life. Where did it land me? It landed me with a divorce. It landed me with complete burnout. It landed me in a place where I felt all alone, with so many health issues, completely burnt out, with a divorce under my belt. Okay. So, and a lot of therapy ships, all right, because that's what the empowered feminine does, right? She explores, right? And it led me to a space of a lot of money spent on therapy. That's why I call them therapy ships. And honestly, if I were to tell you my truth, darling, it didn't work for me. What the matrix programmed me to do, what the matrix taught me was empowered women. What an empowered woman should be, what she should do, how she should act, how all the zilch. All right, it did not work for me. So then I did the healing, the great work, and I studied about femininity, feminine energy. I studied about masculine energy, the masculine principle, and the healthy, energetic, dance between these two entities, and how to create a marriage and a relationship around these things. That is what I studied. That is what I dreamt of. That is what I wanted, needed, and that is what I manifested in my life. And By the way, darling, all right, P.S. I am not perfect. My husband's not perfect. My marriage is not perfect. But I, with all confidence, can tell you that 95%, if not more of that, more than 95%, all right, my husband and I, in our marriage union, we live in peace. We live in harmony. We live in gratitude. We live in love. All right, we live in ease. Because this is the path that I have chosen personally for my life. Is this the only path? No, I think every soul is entitled to choose and live their life the way they want to. All right, I honor it, I respect it. However, this is my journey, these are my perspectives, this is what is working for me, and this channel and this world is created for women who want to understand this more, women who want to embody this more, women who want to do the deep work that is required to slowly move from this world to this world. All right, so darlings, if all of this landed, if you like my vibe, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to my work, because so much more gold will be dropped here regularly. I love you.